The site of the ornate Gothic structure, sitting on top of Hathorn Hill in Danvers, makes a strong impression, even without knowing anything about the building. This imposing edifice spurs you to learn more about its history. And it's quite a history. The Danvers State Hospital, also known as the State Lunatic Hospital, was built with compassionate and enlightened treatment in mind. Although those ideals may have been realized at first, both patients and the building itself suffered at various points over the years. Patients endured periods of overcrowding and abuse, while the hospital building was abandoned for over a decade and was so creepy that it was literally featured in a horror movie. Danvers was erected under the supervision of prominent Boston architect Nathaniel Bradley in an extremely rural, out-of-the-way location. The immediate crisis, which precipitated the building of a mental hospital north of Boston, was the imminence in the early 1870s of the closing of the facility at South Boston. In 1873, Worcester, Taunton, and Northampton, and the 1866 Tewksbury Asylum for chronic patients were already housing 1,300 patients, and the buildings designed for 1,000. Another 1,200 were scattered about in various other hospitals. It included space for patients, attendants, and administration, reflecting a centralized approach to care. Later, buildings were added until the hospital opened on May 1st, 1878. And the first patients arrived on May 13. Dr. Calvin S. May was appointed superintendent through 1880. Previous to Danvers, Dr. May was an assistant physician at the Connecticut Hospital for the Insane from 1874 to 1877. While Danvers was originally established to provide residential treatment and care to the mentally ill, its functions expanded to include a training program for nurses in 1889 and a pathological research laboratory in 1895. By the 1920s, the hospital was operating school clinics and helped determine mental deficiency in children. Danvers was a great success at first. By 1900, Danvers State Hospital employed 125 people and had treated more than 9,500 patients since its opening. Its good reputation proved to be Danvers' undoing. Over the next 20 years, the population of the hospital swelled to more than 2,000 patients, despite its official capacity of 450. Administrators begged the state for money to build more rooms and hire more staff, to no avail. Then the horrific abuses started. Patients walked through hallways naked. They lived in their own filth from lack of basic hygiene. People weren't being cured. Their symptoms got worse. Shock therapy and straitjackets became the norm. The thinking was the jolts of electricity could either alter a patient's brain and make the patient afraid of shock therapy and scare them into submission. When they misbehaved, they were put in straitjackets and forgotten, some even for days. When shock therapy failed, the lobotomy started in 1939. The medical community was looking for a permanent fix to the crisis facing mental health facilities. The population of the hospital swelled to 2,360. A total of 278 people died at the hospital that year. Medical science saw lobotomies as a cure for anyone's insanity and as a way to stop deaths. Neuroexperts often called Danvers State Hospital as the birthplace of the prefrontal lobotomy. Visitors to Danvers State Hospital in the early 1940s reported lobotomy patients wandering aimlessly through the halls of the hospital. At least the patients didn't complain, because many of them just stared blankly at walls. Patients walked around in a drugged, hellish daze. No one would let them leave and held them against their will. That is, if patients could express their thoughts after having a portion of their brain ripped out during surgery. The lack of funding continued. Buildings fell into despair, which made conditions worse. Finally, the state intervened. Portions of Danvers State Hospital were shut down in 1969. Most of it closed in 1985 before a permanent shutdown in 1992, after which the site became a popular destination for thrill-seeking kids looking for a good scare. In 2005, a development company bought the rundown property and tore down a large portion of the building. The renovations turned the once lunatic asylum into Avalon Danvers Apartments. Construction faced delays in 2007 when a mysterious fire broke out and burned a majority of the new construction and some trailers. Perhaps the tormented spirits of the dead put a curse on the place. Let us hope that the spirits of those who died here will find peace. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. And don't ever forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, be afraid of the dark. He is always watching.